is satisfying that. What is the market needs that a learning has, or a feedback or a survey has helped you out? What are the high priority, medium priority, and low priority features that a product must have? Targeting it priority wise may definitely help you out build a product with a high priority at the topmost and a low priority in the hierarchy. This will all help to create a prototype of the minimum valuable product that you are about to launch, to learn and to satisfy the sufficient needs of the market. Steve Jobs has once avoided this step. We all know about the example of Apple Lisa. It failed to grab the market in its initial stage, and finally it could not grow into a good number of sales since the prototyping steps were really avoided. But then when we talk about lean startup, it already told if you need to fail, fail fast. Failure is a rule but not an exception. Learn from the failure. Learn from what you have learned from your failure. Learn from the experimentation. Learn from the experience of your failure and develop around what has gone wrong. So that when you are back into the market, you are back with a bang. And yes, today Apple is the topmost brand being liked by a good number of customers. Then we talk about launching of a minimum viable product. The launching of minimum viable product does not mean that it's of a lower quality than a final product, but it just means that the product is available, satisfying all the minimum necessary and sufficient requirements of a customer's needs. Here we come to another good quote quoted by Dan Olsen, for is the author of the Lean Product Playbook. The main reason why products fails is that they don't meet customers' needs in a way that is better than other alternatives. So, market research plays an extensive role prior to building of the product. It is necessary to learn what the market needs and develop a product which is satisfying the market's need. Then comes around exercising build, measure, learn. This is a very important factor. Even though you have launched your product or the market, it's necessary that you always follow the BML, that is the build, measure, learn. And once you have developed it, you have gotten significant learning about it, you could refine your product around that. The whole idea is the first test stage is carried by the quality assurance engineers who will work on improvement of the product's quality before its release. The second stage is launching the minimum viable product and going over it back again so that the company can refine the product based on the feedback the clients may have received, you may have received from the clients on the release. And the third step is determine the acceptance of competitiveness of their goods in the market based on the comments and improvise or replace appropriately according to the needs and wants of the market. And this is where we talk about if your MVP stage is successful. How to measure a success after building a minimum viable product. And the whole flow talks about the success that you will be building after a minimum viable product. It goes from word of mouth to engagement to sign up to percentage of active users, client acquisition cost, number of paying users, churn rates, and client lifetime value. When we talk about word of mouth, it's all about being by listening the product problem a customer is facing or it's likely to face and then ask what they think about it. The word of mouth also goes if a product is too good to be launched into the market, it will talk about on its own. The engagement talks about how good your product is, how much are the customers who are interested in your product, and this is all where the feedback will all talk about. Third one comes about the signups. The signups are a feasible way to gauge user interest. It may convert into revenue based on measuring the interest into the products. Now this is the most talk about the things which the e-commerce platforms is working around. All the products before its launch gives you and page that will ask you regarding notify me or subscribe to the product. This collections helps the company to know actually how many users are really interested into the products. Of course, around 30% is always kept as a debt that they may not turn around when you launch the product, but of course the 70% may turn up and may go ahead for purchasing of the product. Then comes the better client appraisal based on the feedback. So of course, the feedback as a part of the collection of the analysis plays a major vital role. The feedback or the way the feedback is being learned will definitely help you out in servicing it out. Percentage of active users, of course, each product has its own life cycle. For example, when we talk about the software industry, especially onto the Android apps, a user who has downloaded a game software, any XYZ, may not be intact throughout it through his lifetime. Every product has its minimum lifetime cycle, and it may happen that after an year, 2 year, or even after 6 months, if there is a launch in the product, in the new product, or something new, challenging alternatives are available, they may switch on to that. So this percentage of active users really define how many of them are really using your product in the present state. Client acquisition cost is a very important thing that you will be talking around, especially when you are going to scale your product. CAC is nothing but the money spent on your traction channels by the number of customers acquired through that channel. It's all about grabbing the market. It's all about creating a value of